Hello and welcome back to SJ Cartier Limited Convos. And today I'm gonna give what I believe culture is for me, because I've seen a few other podcasts, UK podcasts, Sinners podcast. I've Bouncer talk about it, Remain Relevant, and I've also heard Tankz talk about it, about culture. So I'm just gonna give some little knowledge on what culture means to me, whether people are part of that culture, grew in that culture. Certain man from Sinners, I know man from culture previously, so man grew in different lives in it. So culture to me, I'm just gonna give my explanation of what culture is to me, and kind of let's open up our own minds of people in the culture. So first of all, I'm just going to read through what I've written down as what culture means to me in a variety of bullet points, and then I'm going to go into each one of them after that. So first of all, I grew up on underground music, whether that be garage, dancehall, speed garage, grime, whatever it is, yeah. Grew up in a council estate, yeah, never grew up in a built up area where a lot of people around them had houses paid for, whether they did or they didn't. There was a lot of paid for houses around them. Most of the urban culture that I come from, that's not that. Playing out meant playing out in the streets. So although yes, I was quite fortunate that my mother and my father, my stepfather, took me places, me being able to play out in the streets was really my fun, and that was the fun we had with whatever little money we had as children. So we ended up making fun on the streets, dressing urban in a way that people previously would have judged you for, but now will call comfortable dressing. Being judged for being non-English or non-British, but if we was to fly to another country, we are immediately noticed as English or British people. Jail is a possibility on a normal day just walking the street. Having to work harder to get a job. When you're in that job, you now have more eyes on you than someone else from a different culture. Remember, this doesn't boil down to colour of your skin. This boils down to, is this what you have to go through in your life because of the culture you perceive to look like or come from? Because I'll even go into the culture and to understand there's a lot of black people that have come from a lot of rich backgrounds where their parents were quite lucky and they have both parents around them, whether it's their real ones or not. They have two parents who are working or have worked for most of their time and are comfortable in their job, are able to save a lot of money, and they still have the same issues as a normal black person from a council estate going to get a job. So also understanding, although I'm not breaking it down to colour, a colour does matter a lot when it comes to this culture. Yeah. When you're in the job, as I say, having to work harder and being noted out for your mistakes, whereas others are making bigger mistakes that may not be noted. Working harder when you start a business to either grow authenticity for your business or to grow support from people within from the same backgrounds as you or not. Being judged when you're just out shopping. So you could be shopping for clothes, you could be out grocery shopping, it doesn't really matter. You could just be walking the street to the post office to deliver something for your business, and you will be judged, just whether by the security, whether by the staff, whether by people who are customers in these shopping places as well. Being told you are aggressive when in fact you was just being very stern to the passive aggressive tone you was hearing. Yeah. Creating an idea and then having someone replicate it and call it their own. not being trusted by others immediately. Yeah. Being asked what country you are from if you was to tell someone you are Muslim. And the reason I've put the last two in there, because that would give that extra difference, because as when we say not being trusted by others immediately, what I mean by that is if you are a black business, black people and white people and Asian people will put less trust into a black business salesperson, whether male or female, than they will into a white business, an Asian business, than they would with a black business or someone that has got an urban background. Yeah. Being asked what country you are from, I'll say that because then that deciphers the difference between a black man and a Muslim man. Sometimes, because not all Muslim men are black and not all black men are Muslim. So it doesn't matter that you are Muslim. It doesn't matter that some of these you may go through and think, oh, you know what, I'm urban, but then you may be an elderly Asian man. When you find a black man that is Muslim, you may ask him this question: what country are you from? What difference does it make what country they are from? So when we overstand that, that is because of the culture that that person is from and culture they are from. They don't believe that is the same culture of Islam. They believe you are black and urban and I am Asian and Indian. So that is like some bullet points, and there's a lot more I could go into with regarding what I believe culture is to me. I'm going to break down some of these into little facts now if you want to continue listening, so you can get a bit more in-depth into why I put these as bullet points and how I see myself in the culture and how I can see others probably even misrepresenting the culture to what we really are, because we're searching for that same acknowledgement from people that aren't our culture. And then the people that are our culture aren't acknowledging us as they should. So, grew up on underground music. For me, I grew up on Bashment. I grew up on Speed Garage Niche area, where we used to go to Niche and Vibe in Sheffield when it used to switch names. We used to go to Warehouse in Leeds, when we used to go up and when all the dances that were in Birmingham, of course, we used to go to. Yeah, so all these like dances of Niche, all these Bashment dances like Shubbeens that man used to go into, like, you know what I mean, like Fox and Dog from a young age. You know what I'm trying to do? Say like to these are like little Shubbeens, even to like Shubbeens in Sheffield man used to go to. I forgot the name of it. It's named after the man that owns it, some old Ras man. But all these little dances that underground man used to go to the Uzar bar in Liverpool, that was the underground one only urban dance for man, like for urban culture in Liverpool. There's only a little space, you had to go down, you could touch the ceiling when you went down the stairs. It was crazy in there, but that's the kind of underground I'm talking we come from. And that's not just the particular that we straight away think of grime, because yes, we all grew up underground grime music as well, from Skepta to Roll Deep to Soul Solid Crew. And really, Soul Solid Crew, yes, they were a big garage group, but that underground grime ethnicity never came from them. It came from all those like Risky Roads and all of that, you know what I'm trying to say? So Lord of the Mics, this is the kind of underground we grew up on, that is real underground, like Channel U underground. When we had to go to Tempest in Birmingham town and get underground CDs and cassettes and things from the man, and you see different type of artists come there and spitting bars, and everyone's coming for their vinyls, all types of DJs. So that's the kind of underground music I'm talking about, because yes, we used, for me personally anyway, I used to go to, yes, the little pop dances and that, and little places, you know, like the broad streets of every town, yeah, every city, broad streets, yeah, where it's just the standard types of clubs, yeah, where it can go from a walkabout to a revolution to all those other types of clubs that are more dance music and not that funky house, but house music. You understand? So those type of scenes was not really that culture for us from that culture, because when we were there, we stood out. We stood out. There wasn't many black people in there, and the ones that were, we were all doing what we were doing. If we weren't looking hungry for gal that were on all these other things that we was thinking of, we was in here doing our thing, because we knew this wasn't our culture and this is where it's at. So we was here. Yeah. So growing up on underground music, growing up in a council estate, and when I say that, that's where it comes into understanding that not everyone is black in the culture, because they get judged the same as if they are a black man and they are actually white or Asian. So when I say grow up in a council estate, you'll realise in a lot of ends, yes, you may think the gangs are full of black people, but the gangs are full of white and Asians and all types of people. So there's a lot of people in these like urban streets doing a lot of urban things that people class as urban, which is shotting and robbing and stealing and hanging around on corners and all of that. It's not just black people in these council estates who ain't got jobs, who can't get jobs, that are doing this. So that is part of the culture, because that's what we do. We grew up in a council estate and we're trying to get out. Most black people just happen to be unfortunate enough to grow up in council estates. So the majority, you may think, is yes, black people, but there is a lot of white council estates that have the same urban judgments as if they were like us as black, because as we remember, it was no blacks, Irish and dogs, and obviously Irish are white, yes. So understand, the culture wasn't about just the colour of your skin. Sometimes it, and how you was judged, it mattered also to where you came from, and that predominantly is a council estate. Playing out meant that in the streets, and when I mean that, I mean if you go to certain other, like, so for me, growing up in my family home, yes, we got to go Butlins. Yes, I went Blackpool and Torquay, and my mum and that used to take me up and down to London and all around. We used to go to family week every week and that. So yeah, I used to have fun and get to go and travel. But when it came to going out, I could understand, like, you know what, for me to go out and go bowling or do certain of these other activities, my mum and parents don't have the money every time to send me to go and do these activities. Some of my white friends could pay for me and have that money at these times because their parents were working, they weren't grown in that culture, so they had the money. You know what I'm trying to say? So certain little things when we was playing out in the streets, the culture, as I say this way, I say black, white, Asian, it didn't matter. Certain of the culture that come from the culture, when we played out in the streets and play fighted or played football or chased girls or just chilled on corners, chilled at a shop. We done these certain things. We was in pubs, underage, trying to just drink and play pool or whatever we was doing. So this was part of the culture of us growing up. A lot of people may say, yes, we done that in these areas, but I'm talking about us specifically, all in one as a culture. When it comes to how we dress now, I've put dress urban, which is now called comfortable. I've actually put on a little jeans and a little jumper now to show you, like, this is my urban understanding of how we grew. We also had the urban tracksuit that we see everybody wearing now. 20 years ago, how old am I now? 36, yeah. 20 years ago, yeah. People dressed like this, yeah, with the straight jeans, the little jumper with the little polo, with a little design on the front, yeah. That was probably judged just the same way the tracksuit was judged by that someone from a certain culture, because people from other cultures don't wear tracksuits and they don't wear jeans and jumpers like that with their flats or their red bottoms or whatever they've got on. That's the culture, the dress sense as well. You know the culture by the dress sense. Obviously, you realise when they talk, because realising now, sorry, let's get that wrong. We can't judge the culture by the dress sense no more, because the dress sense has been imitated by other cultures. Because now a tracksuit is seen as comfortable. Now a female in a tracksuit can be seen as something quite admiring, when previously it was seen as if you saw a woman in a tracksuit, that was chavvy. That wasn't the culture for certain people. So understanding the same people that were wearing tracksuits now, I say there's a lot of 30% of people that wear tracksuits now. I'm just throwing numbers out my head, but that's a minimum. I'm saying 30% of the people that wear tracksuits now were judging tracksuits back then that are over 30. Over 30. So when you're talking the age, we're talking if you are over 30 and you are wearing a tracksuit, 30% of them that aren't from the culture were judging us for wearing that same tracksuit, and now they're wearing that same tracksuit. Because we know a lot of tracksuits come back around as well. So a lot of these shell suits, a lot of these Adidas trackies, these Nike trackies are just the same trackies that were out 20, 15 years ago when you understand style and design. Yeah. Same as this boss top. This boss top was, probably 2023, 2024, whatever. Yeah. But these boss tops have been coming out for years. So I've always had boss tops with just boss on there. Black and just boss. The boss may be a bit thicker here, maybe a bit small, but it's just got boss. Same style, different colours, different, same, imitated, being judged for being non-English and non-British. And what I mean by that is, and I finish that off by, and although when we go to another country, we will be judged as the English, the British. And what I mean by that is, as an English, British man who was born in this country, yes, I am half Jamaican because really one of my parents was born in Jamaica. My other parent was born here but grew up in Jamaica from a very young age. So really, I hold my Jamaican roots to me, but I also recognise I'm an Englishman because I was born in this country. I was born in Sandwell Hospital in West Bromwich. That's where I was born. Yeah. So understanding that, like, I know who I am, but then I can understand that a lot of people may walk past me and just judge me as African or Jamaican and not think I am English. And that's just because of the urban look I have, the culture that I carry around me. My culture is Jamaican and Caribbean. That's why we are now called Black British or Black Afro-Caribbean, Black British Caribbean, Black Afro. All these stupid names and terms. Yeah, that's for us. That's for us from the culture, so they can differentiate who we are, and that's for whether we're applying for something or not. So if you're applying and you're a Black Afro-Caribbean, I believe they may look at you differently from someone applying that is Black African. Just a thought. Just the same way they may judge someone that is Black British, white British from someone who is white European. That's why the definitions are there. So we can define who we all are and what culture you originate from. So then we can judge you for that. But then you leave the country and we're hated the same as every English person when they leave the country. Yeah? Because when I've left the country, I'll speak to the foreigners, and the foreigners always tell you, we don't like the English over here. You always cause problems. Yeah, that's the culture they say we are in this country. We always cause problems. We go around the country causing problems. But then the word on the road is out there in the other countries is, it's all you English causing the problems. So that's the culture that we come from as well. The culture that would judge us for not being English and British, for being from the Caribbean heritage or the African heritage, or whatever heritage we come from, whether that be white English just grown less well off in the council estate, we're being judged for it. Yeah. Jail is a possibility on a normal day. So you could just be walking down the road and judged for something. Yeah. And it could be something simple. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm going to actually post my video about it in the future of how I got assaulted by police. And that was down to their misjudgment of who I was and who I am and what I stand for. And this is something that can happen. The misjudgment because you are from a certain culture and they believe that culture over there is actually correct. It's irrelevant that they're white. It's irrelevant that I'm black. It's the point of you are wrong and you are right. Whereas if it was someone else or the roles were reversed, they would have come and been a bit more, oh, are you okay? Instead of the actual person over here. So that's the culture where if even in an incident like that, in an incident that is you defending your honour and yourself, you could end up in jail and you're just being a normal civilian. You come from the culture. Because if you didn't come from the culture, you would be listened to and answered and respected and talked to in a different way and not been judged. The same as I talked about the people in the train station. I feel like, as I said, if I was a young child, I understand you would have dealt with me differently because of the security of the young child. But I also only said that to just get the point out that you can do something. And then when I reiterated, if I was an elderly bloke who was white or an elderly woman that was white, would you have talked to them the same way? Because they are now above the age of the child and they are above the age of me for getting where they need to get to. That's why I use, sometimes you have to outsmart the people that are trying to outsmart you. Make them answer the question they need to answer and then make them come back on themselves and show that they're just being, what's the word? They're, what you call it when you do something for you say something and then you contradict yourself in the same sentence. So one sentence you're saying you can't do nothing for me, in the next sentence you're saying you would have done it for the child because they're underage, and in the next sentence you're telling me you would have done it for the other adult. What's the difference between me and the child, the age? What's the difference between me and the other adult, their colour of the skin? So yeah, you could end up in jail in arguments just because of your culture, and you could be in the right and be judged for being in the right. Let alone from the culture, cameras and police, it doesn't really faze you when you come from the culture. What phases you is the people calling them. Yeah? That's what phases you. Yeah? So when you understand you ain't the one calling, you understand it doesn't really matter about those things. Yeah? So jail is a possibility on an everyday life. Having to work harder to just get a job. So, as I said earlier, yes, we may have to put we're Black British or Black Caribbean when we are applying for jobs. This is also to help them decipher whether they want to commit to actually adding some cultural references to their place. Like filling up the culturals tick on their book. Oh yeah, we're not racist. We've got one cultural person here. Or whether they just want to say no. And when you go for this job, you may have the right qualifications. You may be the perfect fit for the job, but for some reason that you feel like you have to work harder to actually get that job, because someone that could come in with less qualifications never had the experience, and they would give them the opportunity before they give you who's had the experience. That's the culture we come from. Real recognising, real. For even me, I've tried to get a job for the last 18 months in Wiltshire. There's a lot of proof of what I can do, let alone my certificates, let alone I've done little jobs to show my contribution and my efforts to them. But what I find is they'd rather me not have a job and then question me about not having a job. They'd rather that. So that's the culture I come from, where I see others getting jobs that they can't do. And I can do the jobs, but I won't get that job. That's the culture I come from. Let alone, as I say, the culture where you're in a job and you have to work harder. So as I say, I've done jobs and I've seen how even like the last one, for example, I'll give an example. The last one, which is quite funny, that it was phonetics. Yeah, I was working in a warehouse doing phonetics printing, shipping for phonetics clothing. Yeah, so I was actually packaging up a lot of phonetics clothes in the warehouse. Yeah, which was quite funny for me as someone that has a lot of football cards and was aware of phonetics. And this was before they had their flagship store now in London that you saw me visit. Yeah. So it was quite mad that I ended up getting a job in this warehouse and I'm packaging phonetics and I'm looking like, wow, okay. And I feel like I was learning a bit about the culture of what they were doing. I even learned a lot about how I could do, if I wanted to get a warehouse, how I could manage that warehouse and make everything run smoothly within that warehouse with 10 members of staff and get everything shipped daily if I'm having 100 orders, 1,000 orders, 10,000 orders. I understood the process in 10 days? I was only there for 10 days, I think it was, or whatever it was, 10 days. Understood the whole process, yeah? And even when I was working there, I'm very observant, so I could see that I was actually getting through a lot more parcels than others, and other people had told me, you don't have to go that fast. But for me, I'm just in the motion of package, label, dispatch, package, label, dispatch, package, label, dispatch. I'm not here to dilly-dally. I'm not here to just play around. It's people's orders and I'm working for someone. So I understood I was getting through a lot more orders than certain of the other people around me because I was very observant of it as well. Yeah. Obviously, you understand when you get in certain jobs, some people like to move slow because they get paid more and longer. I'm not into that. I'm just wanting to get this over and done with. Yeah. I'm here for you. I'm not here for me. As you see with me, I'm not pressuring nothing on my website. You buy, make offers when you please. I'll just keep adding collections and hopefully you just want to buy collections that I've now collected before they're taken off and before I say, oh, I don't even want to sell that no more. So in a job, I realised how hard I was working within that job. And for me to be questioned by the manager and have him standing over me, watching how I'm working, made me realise that I'm the new guy. I just have a laugh because I'm from a culture. I can have a laugh with you and say, you're right, mate. You're having fun watching me. Oh, yeah, mate, I'm okay. Yeah. To show them that, you know what? You don't need to watch me. I've got this. Come over and check. You come over and check. Come over and check to make sure I'm doing it right. Yeah, you check. Oh, you need to move me over there now. Am I moving too fast or what's going on? You just want to see if I can do something else? Or is it because I'm standing still and I'm packaging items quite quick and in fact you don't like the fact that I'm quite enjoying just packaging loads of parcels? You want me running around the store now getting t-shirts and loading up this t-shirt, 10 of this and 20 of this and 50 and bring up. I don't mind this because I say I'm learning. But no, my efforts and my speed and my efficiency wasn't good enough for them to say, you know what, we don't want you back. It's Christmas now, okay, we understand. After Christmas, I haven't heard nothing back. Other people have gone to that shift that weren't moving as quick as me. So that's part of the culture where you're working hard, you're doing more than the people around you, but you will be looked at as you're doing the least. And even to that, they would rather still have the people doing the least than you actually doing the most and caring for your job. Yeah, not just here for the money. Even though you're here for the money. Being judged when you're shopping. So we could be going into big designer shops or we could be going into the local Tesco. You will be judged just by your shopping because you could be judged for, oh, is he going to run away with this? Is he going to walk out with this? Is he over the age to buy cigarettes, even though I've seen him here for 5 years buying the same embassy? This is what we have to go through, judgment, just when you're shopping. And it's not because of oh, I may look underage. Love to think so, but it's not that. It's mainly because of the culture I'm from, and you just want to question and try and be authoritative of me. No. You ain't authoritative over me because you think you look down on the culture I come from. So when we're out shopping and we're being followed or watched or questioned, or you go in a shop and you're actually looking at something. So this happened to me the other day. I went in a shop, and I don't even tell you this. I went in a shop and I saw a Mo Salah. Like I was actually, this was the week before. Yeah, because it was in London. It was the week before I went. It was the week I went to Fanatic store, and I was in London, and I walked past the shop and I saw a Mo Salah like the statue thing, and it looked kind of sick still. Like, I ain't gonna lie. So I went in and gone to have a look at it, to see what it's like. So I like 15 quid or something. It's cheap. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at it. Tell me why the man's run up to me and say, "Oh mate, you can't touch that." I'm saying, "What? Is it not for sale?" He said, "Yeah." Saying, "So what's the problem?" Saying, "Mate, you can't touch that. You have to ask me to look at that." I'm saying, something. There's loads of them there. It's not like this is the only one. I've seen like 20, 30 of them. Yeah. So there's loads of different statues there. I'm saying, bro, what are you on about? I'm holding on to it, trying to grab it. I'm saying, you don't need to grab it, bro. Like, I'm not a child. I'm not going to break it. What makes you think I'm going to do anything wrong with it? Really, in his head, he's probably thinking I may want to run away with it. What's making you think that? But I'm not into these attitudes. So I just held on to it and told him, mate, if I wanted to look at one of those t-shirts now, or want to buy one of those t-shirts, do I have to call you to look at the t-shirt? Saying that's a bit, I'm saying, do I have to call you to look at a t-shirt? Can I get that t-shirt from there then and look at that before I want to buy? Because that's the attitude I'm getting. Like, anything I've come in the shop, I must ask you if I can look at it when it's on complete display in front of us to pick up and look at before I can look at it to buy it. Really, you're judging me because I'm a black man and I'm dressed urban and I'm coming in here and I was skipping past the shop, but it caught my eye. You know how I'm like when I see something, I'm like, "Ooh, what's that?" So I go back and looked, and he's onto me. Why, if I was an old elderly white bloke, or same white bloke, just same age and not in urban clothes from a culture, I believe he wouldn't have asked me. He would have said, "Oh, you like that, mate? You're a Liverpool fan? Yeah, good, you won the Premier League, isn't it?" That's what I would have got, some conversation, some rapport. You know what I mean? I never got none of that. Never got none of that. Same thing as I say, with starting a business. Because I don't really go deep into it. But even with starting a business, why is it that other businesses from other cultures will come and talk to you in an arrogant way and expect you to bow to them because they feel a way? But then if they were to talk to this new randomer who ain't even started as long as you, doesn't have a plan as you, doesn't even have a care for this hobby or this products that you are trying to be in, why do you give them a normal conversation? Just a little thought. As a black business, when you look around in your same fields and you look at the new businesses that come in your field, do you get the same support as they do, as new ones? And did you get that when you started? And do you get that now? Just a little thought, as a black business or urban cultural business, do you get that same support as someone else in the new business? And would they talk to you in an arrogant way, telling you what to do instead of trying to find out what you want to do, instead the same way they will talk to the other person? Because I've found that a lot with me when I've started my business. A lot of people talk to you like you're dumb and want to just kind of tell you what to do, forgetting you have your own mindset. And that attitude is not helpful because you're trying to tell me. We have a conversation I might think about after what you've said and say, oh, that might be a good idea or whatever. But when you're trying to tell me up front, like, this is what it is, no one's going to accept it. No one, not me anyway. We have to have a conversation. Let's understand this. Let's break this down. What's good? What's in it for me? What's in it for you? Do we care what's in it for each other? Are we trying to make each other more? Or we're just trying to grow our thing over here. So understand that with us as a cultural business, same as I see with sinners, they say for real, I said it the other day, it's because man are from Brum that man won't give certain applause to what man are doing. Why is that? I thought everybody's from the same culture, or is Birmingham urban culture different from London urban culture? And are we actually trying to grow other un-urban cultures before we grow the urban cultures that are similar to us? Just a thought. Yeah? Another one, being told you're aggressive when in fact the person that is telling you that is actually being very passive aggressive. So I've learned how to be very sarcastic and arrogant. I've always been sarcastic and arrogant, to be honest, but I've learned how to do it in a more calmed, relaxed way. Yeah. And I've learned that because I realise if you don't do it in that way, people will say you're being loud, you're being aggressive, you're being threatening. And in fact, I'm just talking louder than you and more authoritative than you. That's all it is. You're trying to be sarcastically smart, but quietly. I'm trying to be right, loudly. What's wrong? Do you not like that I've got a mouth? I know we're not in slavery days no more, but come on. Grow up. Really. So, the culture where we have to talk, dim down how we feel to get our point across is the culture I understand. That's what culture is for me. Yeah? Creating an idea and having someone replicate it and call it their own. And that's the culture from way back when. As I've said before, William Shakespeare, the most well-known playwright, did not write his plays. Yeah? And we could go into so many things about the telephones, the bells, the cars, all of these things, yeah? There's so many inventions and so many first air flight people that were women, black women. Forget that story. One of the first ones to fly some suit was a black woman. You know what I'm trying to say? I need to come and give. It's what my YouTube really. As I say, I'm just talking free and just go. I'm not pulling up nothing from nowhere. I've written my little thing, my notes here, and I'll just give you what the spill. But as I grow and I get more subscribers, more viewers and likes to my videos, I'll start putting up the pop-up so you can see like evidence of these people, and I'll get a bit more deeper, as I say. I'm just giving an open, just thought plan right now to give you the mindset of where we're coming from. Yeah? Get to know SJ Cartier Limited Combos if you don't know Cartier already. Yeah? Real life. So yeah, being told you're aggressive when in fact they're being very passive aggressive and talking to you in a way and trying to expect you to behave in another way. And then calling you the problem. You could just be walking down the road and shout, and you may be told you're being aggressive, but then you could hear someone over there arguing and screaming at their woman and no one saying anything about aggression then. People just walking by, there's nothing wrong. Okay. Thoughts. Not trusted by others immediately, and that's within the culture itself. That's the worst about that one. Because as a black man, do we trust black businesses more than we trust the white business or the Asian business? Do we? Because for me, I ain't gonna lie, I just trust any business that is trying. And if you're trying to do something or you're doing it and it looks like you're doing it as you explain you're doing it, I'll support you all day long, regardless of your culture you're from. But then even for me, as a black man, looking at a black man's business, I ain't gonna lie, any black man that I've supported recently, I've had a little look into first. Who are you? Who are you? Who's your people? Where you from? That's what me does too. But why do I do that for the black man and not do that for the white or Asian man? Just a thought. Why would, okay then, I'll give you another little insight. Why would a friend of mine call me and ask me about websites? I tell him you can see my website I built, that's why you're phoning me. Yeah? I'm telling you I could build you a website. I'm telling you could actually put money in my pocket. And I'm telling you I'll do it cheaper and quicker than the people that you would pay. But tell me why my friend would go and pay more money than I would have charged him, to someone that isn't black, isn't from the culture, give them the money, and then want to call me and I get information about what's going on with his website. That's the culture where you come from. Where, for some reason, he won't want to trust me, even though he can see what I've done. For some reason. But he will trust someone else, and he hasn't got no proof of what they've done. He's just been told that because of advertisations. Just a thought. Why is it that other cultures will second guess about clicking that buy button with a black business or a cultural business before they will do it for someone else? Whereas they'll just click that button or swipe that click and pay that 100 or that 5 grand or that 20 grand over there. But then when it comes to someone from an urban, they'll be like, do we not? Can we not? Know what? We want to pay a little less. Huh? You would have done that immediately if it was them. But over here, you want to actually pay less. No. That's the culture that we're from. Yeah? Being asked what country you are from, if you say you are Muslim. And I say this one because a lot of us now are Muslim, and I know without knowing whoever you are, like I've said some names at the beginning, I don't even know, only sinners I know, man, on there. I don't know none of these other men from nobody. Yeah, I'm from Birmingham, West Bromwich, yeah? So I know them from nobody. But man claim they're Muslim, yeah? So when you're around Muslim man and they find out you're Muslim, how many of them have asked you what country you're from? I don't know you, but I'm telling you, some have. Yeah? You're in the masjid praying. You're walking down the road, had a conversation, and you give a man a salam. In the shop, you give a man a salam. How many brothers have asked you what country you're from? As a Muslim, you just give a man a salam. You're in there praying. Like, it doesn't matter what country you're from. That's the culture we're from. Yeah? Not the culture. You get it? So, just understanding the differences in culture. Like, it's not about colour all the time, even though colour comes down to a lot of it, because the culture of our culture, my culture, is our colour of our skin. Yeah? To 80% of us. There's 20% that do fit into that bracket as well with us, yeah? But 80% of us are coloured of our skin. And even to some of us don't come from that urban background, but just because of your colour of your skin, you are judged by the culture, yeah? So understanding that the culture makes a difference and your colour of your skin makes a difference, but it's not completely the culture, yeah? So that's what culture means to me and what culture I come from, because there's cultures everywhere. As I say, the reason I talked about the Islam one, because Islam is my culture now. Islam is part of me, yeah? It's my culture. But Islam has many cultures. There's bloody Pathans who are Afghans that are theirs. You have the Moroccans, you have the Turks, you have the Arabians. There's how many cultures. If you go to all these different countries and go to Pakistan and go to India and see the Muslims in these countries, you realise there's cultures everywhere. Even to those countries, look at those countries, people in this country, their culture's different to over there. Yeah? So understanding the culture, it's not just about your colour of your skin and everything. It's about where you're from. It's built into us, but it's a numerous of factors, and one of them is, of course, the colour of our skin. And when we're trying to impress people that aren't from the culture and then bringing down each other for the culture, we're getting the culture completely incorrect. Because that's one of the reasons I've done this video, to be extremely honest. I'm seeing pure arguments and debates between man on YouTube. I'm thinking man are losing their heads, because what is this all about? I thought man are on YouTube to give a different impression to who we are, where we're from, and kind of help people from our culture who have not got this like leeway right now to get away from the culture, or help people from not getting deep into the culture that we've been in. Because a lot of man I know that I'm seeing, man have been to jail still. Man have sat down. Man have done things on the road and held things that we wouldn't want to hold now. So you see, when you're doing these things, you recognise like, we're on here to make a difference. We're not here to bring each other down, because we're all from the same culture. We're all like mandem in just different circles. And when we're together or individual, we are looked at as the same. And yes, it's fun and games to make money on YouTube. I get it. Content. I bloody get it. But when that content now becomes us bringing down each other, and there's a lot of others bringing us down as well, and we're not battling them the same way we battle each other, it's a nuisance for me. Yeah? So, to be honest, Bouncer, I kind of stopped watching him for a minute, yeah? Because you're just chatting shit now. You're arguing about each other, and you're trying to really bring down other man in the culture. You're telling Remain to go and talk about Burkina Faso and all these bloody places. Why don't you talk about this country and keep the focus on upbringing the culture and the man that are finding it hard right now? Yes, I like what you said possibly about the music thing. Then do this. Get man them involved and build something. Yeah? Because a lot of people in these positions to help people, and we'll laugh at Charlie Slough, and we'll laugh at Tim Westwood, and we'll say, oh, they suck the culture because they're not from the culture. Yeah? But real life, at least they were giving people platforms to grow themselves and build themselves. Yeah? That's what we need to be doing when we've now all grown in the culture, and we're at different stages where we now are 80s babies who grew up in the 90s, ready to rule the world in that sense, yeah? Because that era before us is dead, yeah? And the era above us ain't as clever as us and ain't as far as us. So it's our culture, the 80s babies, early 90s babies, yeah? That are here to kind of like, let's not make our culture be the same as it was 30, 40 years ago when we were growing up. Let's make sure we're creating jobs and opportunities and leeways for our culture. Not give ideas to other cultures for them to improve their cultures. Let's not just think about supporting other cultures but not support our own. Let's actually grow the culture that I've just explained. Yeah? So that's my video today about culture, what it means to me and why I've done this video. And as I say, I'm not really trying to jump in no chatter with no YouTube guys about no YouTube shit. Yeah, I'm on here to talk real life about what's going on with my life and changes in what we can do for other people that may come from our culture that end up in these same predicaments. Because as I say, I ain't going through all my challenges with my business alone to not then go and help another young black businessman. Or does it even matter if they're black? Just a young business person that that has not got that support system around them, I'd say, if that's the right word. And when I say support system, I mean support system from within those communities, because they're from a culture and they're not from the same culture as the people that they're trying to be in the community, even though that is them. Yeah? Because that way we'll get the real artists listening to real gangsters MC, and they're making money legitimately, not on the roads, instead of the people that weren't on the road talking gang shit and they've never been on the road but they're making money off it, as an example. Yeah? So yeah, that's me for today. SJ Cartier Limited Combos. Enjoy your day.